David Brewster here with a new episode of 3 for All. This is 3 Les Paul licks from 1952, and I've had some requests to feature some of Les Paul's music and also more legends and pioneers of the guitar. And there's no question, Les Paul is an essential and historic electric guitar pioneer. Definitely helped pioneer the electric guitar itself, with his log experiment, alongside, companies like Rickenbacker with their frying pan. But Les Paul had the log. And also a recording, pioneer with overdubbing and layering, multiple parts together. Also tape echo and delay effects and stuff like that. An essential musician, definitely. His career started in 1928, and he released 15 albums, 6 compilations, and 55 hit singles in his lifetime. An essential guitar pioneer. So Les Paul started working with Mary Ford, and they had a huge hit single with How High the Moon, and eventually the president of Listerine loved that song and approached them about creating a little short, 5-minute TV show. It was called Les Paul and Mary Ford at Home, and it ran from 1952 until 1954, and they created 170 episodes, but it was just a little 5-minute, kind of short in between, regular TV shows and programs. But it gave Les Paul and Mary Ford a chance to kind of reach a brand new audience and households. And, they typically feature 1 to 2 songs per episode. But that definitely helped them, explode into popularity and literally hang out with people in their homes. So I actually saw the Les Paul Trio in Nashville, Tennessee at the Ryman Auditorium back in 2003. And I was there with my good friend John Snyder, and we were at the Summer NAMM in Nashville that year. And, they had an all-star guitar night, Muriel Anderson's all-star guitar night, and they had a tribute to Les Paul at that concert. And I knew, sitting in the crowd that night watching that concert, I was watching history on stage. It was awesome. So the licks in this episode actually came from the Les Paul and Mary Ford at Home TV show, and I watched about a dozen episodes online and then just started grabbing, various licks from Les, because each episode at least had one song, and he always played a solo, somewhere in there. And, some episodes Mary was gardening or sewing or reading, and then Les is playing guitar in the background or in the foreground. But then I really liked when they both played, because Mary definitely was a badass guitarist too, and they did stuff like this. Alright, the first lick's this bouncy arpeggio-based flutter idea, and it's something like this. One more time. So we're basically in C, and he's basically revolving around C6. And then a C minor 6. So we're just changing the third, E to E flat, like that. And that's reflected in the lick, because the first half is in C6, and we're doing this. And there's your flutter right there. Like that. And that flutter definitely gives it kind of a bounce. And then the second half in C minor 6, you're doing this. So really the only difference there is you're catching E for the, C6, and then E flat right there for the minor 6. Right? So C6, and then C minor 6. Put them together and you've got lick 1. Really cool lick, kind of that old-timey jazz sound. Next up, this frantic position-shifting legato phrase, and it's really cool, but it's also really hard to play. Something like this. One more time. It's really crazy, but he's basically doing, C, A to F sharp, and then he position shifts and does B, A to F sharp right there. So you could technically do the same lick in one position, something like that. But he's doing a position shift instead, so he's not doing it in one position. He's doing... And keep in mind, when I play the clip, you know, he's just lip syncing the music in the clips. They weren't actually performing any of that music live, I don't think. So he definitely hams it up on camera, you know, and he kind of moves his hand around. And it does give you kind of a hint as far as what he played, even though sometimes his hand wasn't in the right place. This is pretty close as far as the clip, but he's doing that. And another flutter in there like that. And the hard part about that is you don't hear like the shift. Like there's no sliding. It's just very clean and just one position to the other like that. And then do it again. Reminds me of some stuff like Steve Vai does, but it's Les Paul. And at the end, just do like C to A and then end on B. You know, crazy, frantic lick. Speaking of frantic and crazy licks, this is a really interesting idea, and it's definitely a signature Les Paul lick for sure. And there's a sweep in there, which is really interesting for like the early 50s, but something like this. One more time. So it actually starts right off the bat with a sweep right there. We're in G minor. So he basically sweeps that arpeggio right there, that G, B flat, and D, grab that G, and then pull off back to D. And then right there, that's where he starts doing this back and forth kind of intervallic thing. And he's moving between a G on the 20th fret on the B, and a D on the 10th fret on the high E. So after the sweep, then you start this back and forth 3 times. Like that, and that's really interesting because you're going a big distance. And you can see him kind of darting back and forth. And you definitely have to kind of learn like how that feels because you don't want to hit the wrong note. I almost screwed that up right there. So after you do that back and forth 3 times, then he kind of exaggerates it and drags it out. You know, something like that. Definitely a cool lick to kind of wake up that pinky finger. And right there you can hear I kind of screwed up, you know, and I was hitting some wrong notes. So you want to make that very articulate. Something like that. And that's definitely a signature Les Paul lick right there. That quirky, weird phrasing, a sweep out of nowhere. Really cool. Okay, here's a bonus lick, and if you like these jazzy sweeps, get ready, because this one's filled with them, like this. One more time. And this is really hard to play, too. So it starts with C major right here. And then this is really unusual. So you're going to grab E and C and bend both those notes up a half step. It almost has like a Hawaiian sound. Like that. And you're basically doing that, but you're doing it with a bend. And like I said, it has this Hawaiian kind of flavor. And then right there, it's almost like Woody Woodpecker or something right there. After that double stop bend, you're doing... So it's literally just a C major arpeggio, like Woody Woodpecker, like that. All right, so after that C sharp section, you know, with that double stop bend, and then that sweep, then it's gonna move to like a G6 flat 5 implied. And we're gonna do this. So you're hitting 2 of these, and then right there, and then you're going to do a minor sweep, like that, and then you're back to C major again, and And just kind of grab like that C major little triad right there and slide it off. And then you've got the sweep again. And then right there, you're gonna do this like that. And that's basically like an F sharp diminished 7 to an A diminished 7. So there's some interesting, implied chords happening here. That C sharp major to that G6 flat 5, and then that C sharp major to an F sharp diminished, and that A diminished 7. F sharp diminished 7, rather. A diminished 7. So interesting, implied chords here. So that second half, and right there you're going to grab this, and then move that up here for that A diminished 7 implied. And then you actually end with that major arpeggio, but end on F, like that. So all the way through it, really slow. Something like that. It's a crazy, frantic, 50s sweep lick. So good luck with that one. Alright, that's going to wrap this episode of 3 for All with 3 Les Paul licks from 1952. Definitely a pioneering, legendary, essential guitarist. I mean, guitar as you know it would be very different if it wasn't for somebody like Les Paul. Obviously Leo Fender, and there's lots of, important, legendary, makers and musicians and players. Charlie Christian and some players like that. And you have to think, if Les Paul's career started in 1928, that's almost 20 years before Chet Atkins. So that's how early and essential, Les Paul actually is. Like the first guitar superstar, for sure. So anyway, leave some feedback and comments. Please subscribe to Night Lessons, and I'll be back before you know with more content and material. Thank you.